Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.
From her rich and fertile valleys to the shores of her icy seas, from her fields and farms and shellfish beds and her many nurseries, for the finest of her flavor, for the freshest by far, choose the things Alaskans bring to the market where you are. Products that we're proud to call our own, and it's all Alaska grown.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us here at KAKM Studios for Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. On the fire danger graphic today, just a little bit of high stuff out here over the Seward Peninsula, a little more extensive farther to the east there from the Kobuk Valley southward across the Yukon. And also the upper Yukon has high fire danger remaining from the mountains here northward, with a little bit of extreme left over there. Fair amount of rain coming in to the, extended from the northern Kuskokwim Valley into the central interior, the central Tanana Valley today. Significant rainfall amounts, so this may be nudged a little bit farther to the north, but something like that today, definitely decreasing. Still some high fire danger there across the Copper River Basin. And yesterday on the satellite imagery, low pressure here in the Gulf of Alaska, pushing some clouds, showers in across the southeast and south central interior areas. Moisture streaming northward, bringing some rain in to the northern panhandle. And then back to the west, we had a band of moisture right through here, slowly bringing a narrow band of rain with it east and southeastward. Out to the west, this is just high stuff here, and a weak trough there around the Adak area. And for today, that front approaching the western Aleutians yesterday, you can see pushing eastward here and bringing some rain, fog, and drizzle in toward Adak during the day today. Just clouds spreading over Atka, higher clouds, and some more moisture back out toward Shemya. Otherwise, pretty good day here across the eastern Bering Sea and the Alaska Peninsula. Fair amount of sunshine all through this area. Also sunshine the entire day across the Pribilof Islands, allowing temperatures to approach 60 this afternoon at St. Paul. And then back here to the interior, that area of moisture pushing east and southeast, and some good high pressure following it in behind. You can see clearing out very nicely here from the Koyukuk Valley all the way back up across the western North Slope, Arctic coast areas, as well as the Seward Peninsula. Some clearing down here over the Kuskokwim Delta as well, and again the Alaska Peninsula. And then between this system pushing east-southeastward and moisture coming northwest and then eastward here, kind of put the Susitna Valley, Cook Inlet area into a narrow band of pretty fair weather today, with temperatures in the southern Susitna Valley rising into the lower 70s. And also here across the southeast coast, kind of a warm front lifting northward, higher pressure building in. And so that made for a partly to mostly sunny day in some areas there, with pretty warm temperatures, especially down south. Otherwise, clouds, showers along the North Gulf Coast and across Prince William Sound to the Kenai Peninsula area. And higher pressure right along the coastline there. That kicked the winds up, gusting to about 30 miles an hour through Turnagain Arm or more in across the international airport at Anchorage. Same thing in Palmer, and that was about the windiest location in the state today. We're in those areas. We had showers here at Kodiak Island this afternoon. They picked up about 1/3 of an inch of rain in the last 24 hours there at the Kodiak State Airport. Otherwise, with this trough, Fairbanks picked up about 3/4 of an inch of rain during the same time period, and McGrath even picking up 1/4 of an inch there. One of the heavier rainfall amounts at Chattanooga, northwest of Fairbanks. They had well over an inch of rain, again in 24 hours. Otherwise, light winds, higher pressure there along the Arctic coast, and again, lots of sunshine here back to the northwest areas. Low clouds and fog from right around Nunivak Island back up to St. Lawrence Island, and that had spread into the Bering Strait this afternoon. And a little bit of light rain fog here, again approaching Adak this afternoon with just high clouds over to the Atka area. Southern side of the eastern Aleutians looking pretty good with some sunshine, as well as the Alaska Peninsula. And for the forecast for tonight, partly to mostly here, light winds for the southeast coast, showers staying off the coast, and still kind of showery, scattered showers for the Seward or the Kenai Peninsula, western Prince William Sound on down toward maybe Seward. Otherwise, diminishing thunderstorms here over the interior areas with some partial clearing, staying nice up here to the north and northwest, as well as down across the deltas. And no change here for the Bering Sea, just varying amounts of low clouds and fog kind of shifting around, developing, dissipating, that sort of thing. A lot of socked in conditions here from St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait with probably some drizzle. And this front again pushes a chance of rain across, well, mostly in across Atka, better conditions out toward Adak, and then more showers moving into the far western Aleutians. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we've got this low here approaching the Arctic coast, moves northeastward, but will be close enough to kick the winds up from about Point Hope up to Wainwright, maybe Barrow, looking at some small craft advisories there in the marine areas, and some gusty winds also along the coastal area with, in advance of that, that clear area now shifting eastward over to the eastern north slope and Arctic coast. There should be some pretty good VFR, and still stays pretty nice here to the southwest. Just an isolated shower developing over the Nulato Hills, partly sunny for the Seward Peninsula, and some thunderstorms again being triggered tomorrow afternoon here from the Kuskokwim Mountains northeastward, but probably to a lesser extent than what you saw today. Definitely to a lesser extent than what we've seen up there yesterday, but still a risk of a thunderstorm developing over the Talkeetnas, eastern interior, otherwise partly sunny, but mostly cloudy south central Alaska, Prince William Sound, and a risk of some showers now. Sitka back across Elfin Cove, maybe to Yakutat. Otherwise, the remainder of the southeast coast, partly to mostly cloudy with a couple of troughs here. That moisture will be sliding northeastward. Otherwise, this front out to the west now brings some rain in toward Nikolsky. Just a risk therefore on Alaska and Dutch Harbor, and showers progress probably over to Adak with that trough swinging in from the west along the Aleutians. And looking ahead to Wednesday's forecast, that front kind of stalled out here, so we're looking at small craft advisories with periods of rain from the eastern Aleutians up across the Pribilofs, minus the rain though. You'll see some brisk southeast winds, but should stay dry and mostly cloudy. Showers back to the west of the front. Low clouds and fog here along the coast from actually Bristol Bay right up into the Bering Strait, possibly the Chukchi Sea. It looks like more widespread showers and maybe some embedded thunderstorm activity here over the, again, the Tanana Valley from the Alaska Range northward there to about Eagle, and another batch back through here, extending from the Brooks Range all the way down to possibly near Bethel. Drier conditions for the Yukon Delta, partly sunny skies, partly and mostly sunny here for the western north slope down across Kivalina into Selawik, Kotzebue, Deering, Buckland, and those areas looking pretty good for the Seward Peninsula. Maybe some low clouds and fog there for Nome and maybe White Mountain. Otherwise, looking at some moisture here, sliding north and northwest, so mostly cloudy skies with showers, scattered showers here, mostly along the coast there in store for the Panhandle on Wednesday. Quite a widespread area of probably moderate showers extending from maybe Port Allsworth down across Iliamna Lake. Maybe King Salmon as well in the Aleutian Range becomes more scattered as you get down toward Nelson Lagoon area. Probably dry for Cold Bay, False Pass, and King Cove. Looking ahead to temperatures today, we've got quite a range here, upper 50s to lower 80s across the Panhandle. That's Stewart with 81 degrees. Shelter Cove had 80, 70 there at Metlakatla with 64 at Klawock. Otherwise, Sitka topped out at 58, 69 at Juneau with 57 at Yakutat, upper 50s along much of the North Gulf Coast and at Prince William Sound. Kenai 70 degrees today, 73 at least at Big Lake there, and 70 degrees at Palmer, 68 in Talkeetna, 67 over at Stony. Up to the north, temperatures range from 58 with the clouds and showers there at Fairbanks to 72 degrees at Tok. And moving farther to the north, mostly in the lower to mid 60s, upper Yukon Valley back toward Tanana and over to Ambler, 52 at Anatuvik. They had a fair amount of rain over the last 24 hours as well, with 64 at Arctic Village. Obviously more sunshine there. The Arctic coast, upper 30s to lower 40s, 40 degrees this afternoon at Barrow, 38 at Kaktovik, 60 Point Lay, 52 at Umiat, and at 42 is at Cape Lisburne. Off to the southeast, we're seeing mid to upper 50s there across Kotzebue Sound, again Selawik Valley, on up to Kivalina with upper 40s to lower 50s. Coastal areas of the southern Seward Peninsula, 45 at Savunga, but Gamble was into the lower 50s today. And here along the southwest, upper 60s to lower 70s over the inland areas with 50s out along the coast. And for the Bering Sea, again with the sunshine, 54 in St. George, 59 at least at St. Paul with light westerly winds. Lower to mid 50s for the central Aleutians, more clouds and moisture there, 46 at Shemya, 46 also at Nikolsky, but on Alaska up to 51. Sand Point topped out at 64 this afternoon. Again, good amount of sunshine here across the peninsula. Cold Bay even reaching 60 degrees. For the lows tonight, pretty mild here, lower to mid 50s over the west central interior areas. About the same here through the upper Yukon, maybe the Tanana Valley. Lower 50s, mid 40s to lower 50s south of the mountains. Upper 40s to lower 50s for the southeast coast. 40s for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And for tomorrow, warming up quite nicely here along the north slope there. Again, that downsloping wind off the Brooks Range across the area there, warming it up and pushing temperatures possibly to near 70 out toward the coastline. And then cooler with the cloudiness coming in and the stronger southwest winds there, but very nice temperatures over the central interior. 60s, lower 70s, again, south central Alaska. Cooler now for the southeast coast, it looks like. All those highs forecast to be in the 60s, 50s for the Aleutians. And then for flying weather tomorrow morning, lots of IFR here along the coast up towards St. Lawrence Island, much of the Bering Sea. Also some IFR possibly along the Prince of Wales Island coast up to Port Alexander, possibly here western Prince William Sound. And then for tomorrow afternoon, things improve. Still some leftover marginal stuff here along the western Alaska Range. Good VFR again all the way up, including the western Arctic coast as well. IFR Bering Strait into much of the Bering Sea areas, but seeing VFR for Bristol Bay, and that IFR kind of retreating off the coast a little bit there. For the passes, Anatuvik and Anigan, good VFR throughout the day. Lake Clark and Merrill, occasionally marginal, risk of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Rainy, VFR, and Mentasta, windy. Isabel and Mentasta, all VFR. Tanita looking good tomorrow, wide open. Portage, marginal VFR, lowest on the eastern entrance. Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels shaping up like this, about roughly 8,000 feet here through much of the interior areas. And then that kind of bracketed by 10,000 foot levels along the west coast and then over in the Yukon down across the Panhandle. A little chillier up there on the eastern Arctic coast, but not too bad, still at 6,000 feet. And the real warm stuff out here over the central Aleutians where they're pushing up to about 12,000. And then for icing tomorrow afternoon, just a risk of some of that with that incoming front there above about 10,000 feet. So you got to get quite a ways up. And then also some areas here with the showers and more concentrated moisture here, Kenai Peninsula over the interior, mostly mixed variety above about 8,000 feet. Looking at the jet stream for tomorrow, we've got this low persisting here and just slowly weakening south of the Gulf of Alaska. And so still got some ridging here into the eastern interior, but the main ridge over in Canada. And then this 100-knot west-southwesterly jet there clipping the western Arctic coast, supporting those stronger surface winds. And more action out here over the Aleutians with that front. And for the 9,000-foot winds, 30 to 50 knots here, western Brooks Range, Arctic coast there, pushing on to the north, but much of the interior pretty light, just 5 to 15 knots there, with the high centered near Northway. Southeasterlies 20 knots off the coast, lighter over the Panhandle, and then southerlies here 25 to 30 knots from the eastern Aleutians up toward the Pribilofs. And for 3,000 feet, that same pattern here, the strongest winds right through here, lighter out to the west, and pretty brisk here, 35 knots from Point Hope, 55 knots there just off the coast. And south of the Brooks Range, though, pretty light, including the Panhandle. And for turbulence, occasional moderate chop here below 5,000 feet from Barrow southwestward to Point Hope. Otherwise pretty smooth for the remainder of Alaska. And after the break of Hangar Flying, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Good evening. I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and Alaska Public Media, welcome to Hangar Flying. Tonight we've got Kerry Long back on our program. Kerry is the Alaskan Regional Administrator for the FAA, and he has a deeply held conviction and a deeply held understanding of the need to improve our aviation safety. Last time he was on, we talked about a letter that had been sent out to 135 operators trying to turn the CFIT problem around. One of the things I wanted to talk tonight with Kerry about is airspace in the Anchorage Bowl. So Kerry, welcome.
Thank you, Harry.
So I guess to set the stage, anybody that flies around the Anchorage Bowl ought to be aware of what traffic exists. And I can tell you, if you had ADS-B, or if you looked at a radar, one of your approach control radars, and you could see how much traffic there really was in the bowl, you probably would see the magnitude of the problem. But specifically, one of the things that I think we need to emphasize is to all flyers in the bowl that when they're flying a procedure that's published as part of Part 93, they need to fly it the way it is written. It's not about 900 feet or about 1,200 feet. That's the altitude you need to be at because there's other traffic above or below you. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I absolutely agree with you, Harry. This is, I think, and it wasn't until I got up here that and I'm from the east, where there's the New York metropolitan area, which is a very complicated system. Some people say it's 3 or 4. It's really just 11 runways or 12 runways, not 3 or 4 airports. Here, between the Lake Hood, between Anchorage, between Merrill-Field, Anchorage Airport, Merrill-Field, J-Bear, everybody has to cooperate in order for it to work well. 10 minutes up on a busy day, up in the control tower at Anchorage, or I suspect in any of the other towers like at Merrill, one could see that it's really an orchestrated movement where everybody has to play their part. Everybody has to do what they're told. And I think, so far as I can tell, for the most part, folks do. But sometimes emergencies and so on, they divert the attention of the controllers, either whether it be in the tower at the en route center or in the TRACON. And it makes it a little more difficult to get through the day. And the goal is to get everybody home for dinner and make sure that everybody that is maintaining separation and so on. So it is, absolutely agree with you on that. Just people need to realize outside this this region as well how complex it is in this basin.
So I make a plea to the pilots out there that if they come into Anchorage or they fly out of Anchorage, they need to be familiar with the procedures. And the time to get familiar with it is not when you're 5 minutes out from entering the airspace. You need to understand it well enough so you don't have your head down looking at an approach plate. But they got to understand how it works because it is complex, and we've got to make sure we avoid that midair.
You even see this I saw a tape of a plane going to Juneau. It was apparently a jet that had come up from Florida, and it was just wandering, meandering through the airspace, you know, and it's like, finally, they didn't get reported because they finally just told them, hey, why don't you turn around and go to this airport? And they went and did it. But people don't, people think it's a lot simpler than it is up here, and that's ill-advised.
So we got about 2 minutes left. I want to give you a chance to talk a little, brag about one of your favorite programs, the WeatherCam program.
I enjoy so much being up here and seeing how the FAA operates up here, and how we interact with folks like your foundation and the other organizations of the industry. The weather cameras is one of my favorites. There are many of my favorites in the FAA, but it's a extremely well-run program, and everybody, any pilot that you speak to, it doesn't matter whether it's GA or 135 or 121 or even military, or even people going out for a picnic and wondering what the skies look like where they're headed. But it's a tremendous program. Over 900 cameras at the moment. It's got, I think, many cameras that we're exchanging with the Canadians, and it allows, and we've got two that are just going into effect this year because of the terrible accident we had at Misty Fjords last year, and we've talked to the pilots and picked two places, and except for I think there's an eagle nesting issue in one or both of those locations, but except for that, it would be up for the season. But we think that makes a significant difference in the go, no-go decision for folks that has been so difficult for folks when they get halfway there, fully loaded plane, not wanting to go through, and they all think that the weather cameras are just amazing. So much so the NTSB wants to have it done all through the lower 48 and Hawaii, and it's not enough money, but we do have a couple of answers, and if you have Walter Combs back on, I'm sure he'll talk to you a little bit more about it. But it's a great program.
I always enjoy having Walter.
Oh, he's tremendous. I call him the evangelist.
Kerry, thanks for being on our program today.
Pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program, and until next time, fly safe.
Welcome back. Well, today's sea ice analysis shows the north coast of the Seward Peninsula clear of ice, as it has been probably for several days. And that free ice area extends on up into the Chukchi. Still some heavier ice hanging in close there to the western Arctic coast, about Wainwright up toward Barrow, and even closer here on the east side. And moving on to the marine forecasts, south to southeast winds 15 knots here along the coast, seas just 4 to 5 feet, northwest 15 for Clarence Strait, southerlies 15 increasing to 20 knots for Lynn Canal. And for Wednesday, not a lot of change, southeasterlies here 10 to 15 knots, 4 to 5 foot seas for the coast, northwest 15 for Clarence Strait. No change here for Stevens Passage up across Lynn Canal. And for Prince William Sound, light variable winds, that same forecast also good for Cook Inlet, light variable winds, slight seas, right on down across Kamishak Bay. But Chillicothe Strait, watch for those northeasterlies to kick up to 20 knots. Northeast 15 here up the east side of Kodiak Island, across the Barrens into the North Gulf Coast. For Wednesday, no change, Cook Inlet all the way down to Kamishak Bay and Prince William Sound, light variable winds with slight seas. Light variable conditions now for the eastern Gulf Coast. Easterlies of 15 across the Barrens, Kodiak Island. No change for Chillicothe Strait, still looking northeast at 20. And for the peninsula tomorrow, southeast 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 5 feet. Variable to east for Bristol Bay with 1 foot seas. And then for Wednesday, bring those easterlies up to 20 knots for the peninsula. Light winds continue for Bristol Bay, easterlies at 15 from Castle Cape to Sitkinak. And for the eastern Aleutians, again, southeasterlies increasing to 25 knots here as that front moves to right about this position tomorrow afternoon, seas 6 to 7 feet or 5 to 7 feet. Light southwest winds following in behind all the way out to Shimeo. These seas, again, pretty light, just 4 to 6 feet. And then for Wednesday, south to southwest at 15 from Atka Island out to Attu, and otherwise south to southwest becoming southeast and holding those small craft advisories. Again, the front stalled out right through here. 25 knots, 6 to 8 foot seas now. And for the southwest coast, south to southwest at about 15 with 3 foot seas. Light winds for St. Lawrence Island. Southeasterlies at 20 knots for the Pribilofs with 5 foot seas. That extends up across St. Matthew. And then for Wednesday, now the small craft advisories continue for the Pribilofs or come into the picture actually tomorrow night and then extend up across St. Matthew Island and the northern Bering Sea, southeast 15 to 20 for the southwest coast, and picking the winds up a little bit, but still just 15 knots for St. Lawrence Island. Eastern Arctic coast tomorrow, south 20 knots. We've got brisk wind and small craft advisories. Pretty good breeze there, southwest at 30 for the coast and central coast more southerly. And then from Cape Thompson to Wales, just south at 20. Then things really lighten up. Again, that system kicks off to the northeast, replaced by high pressure. So very light winds, westerly 10 knots at the most, south 5 knots for the western coast, and southerlies at 15 from Wales to Cape Beaufort. Then for tonight, again, staying nice up here over the north and northwest areas. Scattered thunderstorms becoming isolated as the night wears on, along with the showers. Mostly cloudy skies, chance of moisture here for the North Gulf Coast, dry for the Panhandle, and that front pushes some rain across the central Aleutians, which moves to the eastern Aleutians tomorrow. And otherwise, partly to mostly cloudy here with, again, scattered thunderstorms in the usual areas with showers from Kodiak Island to western Cook Inlet. This storm here approaches and kicks those winds up. Otherwise, chance of showers now and a few more clouds over the Panhandle, but not too bad. And then that storm leaves as fast as it comes in with high pressure remaining behind.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
When shopping for your family's meals, do you know where you can find Alaska-grown products? Everywhere. They're available at your local grocery stores and farmers markets across the state. Alaska-grown products are fresher and more nutritious, and buying local helps grow our economy. So just look for the Alaska-grown label when you shop, or ask your grocer where the Alaska-grown products are. Remember, Alaska-grown. It's closer, fresher, better.
And it's all Alaska grown.